Welcome to Cascade Field. This is one of our reference sites that we do a lot of our seed collection at. It's part of Año Nuevo State Park, and we have an agreement with them that we can come here and collect seed, and in return we give them some of those plants that we grow from that seed. So we typically come here in the spring to see what flowers are blooming, and then again in the summer when those seeds are ready. And we're out here, it's March 20th. We're seeing what flowers are already blooming, because different flowers have different blooming times. So we're doing our first round of checks. This is a really cool property because it has not really been manipulated by humans. It hasn't been farmed, which is kind of rare along the California coast. There might have been some grazing, but for the most part, it's what we strive for our restoration plots to be. It's a coastal prairie with scrub patches, wetland patches, and forb patches. So a little bit of everything. Seeds, you get Stipa pulchra, which is our state grass, purple needlegrass, Elmis glaucus, Disjampsia cespitosa. So for forbs, we have a lot of Prunella vulgaris, Ranunculus, Sidelcia. Wetland stuff, we have Juncus patens, Juncus occidentalis, Juncus mexicanus, scrub, everything from coyote brush to poison oak and orchidea and coffeeberry. It really just has such a really good variety of plants to collect. Okay, so we're still here at Cascade Creek Field. That's part of Año Nuevo State Park. And I just want to talk about our relationship with state parks and the permit that we have with them. It's a really great relationship we have with them, but we have to abide by some of their rules, which are no collecting seeds more than or less than 25 meters off an established trail. So there's a trail that we walked on to those trees, and then it follows the bluff. So like anywhere in here in the middle is good. And then we can't collect any more than 20% of seeds from an individual. And that's so we don't diminish the native seed supply for that individual and to repopulate for the next year. Because if we took all the seeds, then that plant might not regenerate. Another thing I want to talk about is why we're collecting seeds from different areas other than Mango Lagoon, and that's for a wider genetic diversity, which creates a healthier population overall. So we collect seeds. We're about 25 miles north of Santa Cruz right now, and so we collect here and along the coast all the way back to Santa Cruz, and also along Upper Campus and Wilder. So with multiple strands of DNA, we get a healthier population overall.
This is 4 Mile up on one of the terraces, and when you're cruising down Highway 1 and you see wildflowers from the road, you have to stop. So we pulled over, cruised up the trail, kind of the most kind of northern part of Wilder Ranch, came across all these poppies, Schultzia californica. Here's a bunch of Sidelcia malviflora, and then we looked over the other side of this ridge, basically, and then you're down into a bunch of scrub, but just hidden on the other side was a huge patch of Ranunculus californicus, California buttercup. We saw more of that at Scaroni, and yeah, just the patches were incredible.
Hey guys, out here at Scaroni, and we stumbled upon a really nice patch of some really cool perennial wildflowers. These are a couple species that we use in our restoration sites. One of these is Scissorincium bellum, which is blue-eyed snake grass. It's got a pretty distinct flower, and it really helps to identify it from being a grass because it kind of blends in most of the rest of the season. You come over here and we've got some Ranunculus californica, or buttercups, and this is a really great wildflower species that seeds super heavily in our plots. And then we have this other one over here called Taraxia ovata, and it's this really cool geophyte that actually produces fruit underground. So these long tubes here are, I think, pollen tubes or styles, and basically down below the plant is the ovary underground. Super wild. Guys, it's Nate here over at the bluff at 3 Mile Beach. Over here you definitely have a pretty distinct plant community. A lot of really interesting species. Eriogonum, latifolia, which is this really sweet, it's like a buckwheat. And you come in here and you have this seaside daisy, which covers pretty much everything. And one thing you'll definitely notice about a lot of these species is that they are really low growing and kind of make like a covering across the ground. And that's mainly because all these coastal winds and all these prevailing factors that just result in these plants trying to survive in a really stressful environment. So you get a lot of really awesome tolerators as well as some sweet succulents like Dudleya. Super beautiful, find them all over the coast, and yeah, they're great. This is also a cool one, Plantago maritima. A lot of times you see a lot of invasive Plantagos around, but these are a really nice native species. Out there on the point is yellow lupin, which is great. If you get the chance to see it, definitely take the time to smell it, because the flowers are like Hawaii. It just smells so good. Totally recommend it. Definitely spend some time on the coastal bluffs because it's super beautiful out here. So one really interesting thing is that this area definitely looks pretty distinct than all the urban coastal areas that we see. A lot of times the coastal areas and urban environments have lots of ice plant, which basically just dominates the coastal communities. When you get the opportunity to get out to some really nice natural areas, you get this cool patchwork, a lot of different colors and a lot of different species all coming together.
So we're still here at 3 Mile, and we're not up on the bluffs anymore. We're getting down towards the beach. So we're seeing kind of a transition between these bluff species, dune species, and scrub species. And so this is a spot, one of the kind of the great spots where we can find a bunch of diversity kind of in that interchange. So what we're standing in here, we've got a Schultzia, California poppy over here, mixed in with our yellow sand verbena, which is flowering right over here. So these are both, commonly found in dunes, but right next to it is coyote brush. So Bacchus paleolaris is growing right next to it. Okay, so right across from that is Schultzia that we were just looking at. We're now in kind of a different population. This has a bunch of Artemisia pycnocephala, also known as coastal sagewort. So it's in the sage family, Artemisia, and it's something that we've been planting off and on, and it seems to be doing really well in some of our plots. And again, it's kind of mixed in with all this coyote brush, and we've got Mara, this wild cucumber, and there's, up in this area up here, we've got yarrow. So these are all things that we'll collect pretty regularly. Again, right across the way here, this is another great one. This is mugwort. And it fills in like wetland areas and grassland areas and scrub zones. So something that we try and collect here as well.
What's up, you guys? Out here on the coastal bluff, finding some really cool plants. If you look really, really closely, you gotta get on your belly and actually see, because these are called Plantago erecta, which is a food source for California native butterfly. And they pretty much usually grow in really stressful areas like serpentine soil, as well as like this really stressful coastal bluff. Yeah, they're super cool, and definitely take time to look at the small plants.
Also have a cool bluff species here called sea pink, Armeria maritima. Nice like little puffball inflorescence. Kind of looks like buckwheat, but a lot different leaves.
We are currently up in Upper Campus. So this is kind of a pocket meadow in between Twin Gates and Marshall Field. It was raining this morning, so it's very wet out. We're trying to do our best not to trample plants and do as little damage as we can. But we're out seed scouting today. This is one of our commonly visited sites. And this little meadow here has some great plants. So just to start off, we have a member of the pea family here. This is Harlequin lotus, also known as Hosakia gracialis. It's actually a rare plant. We haven't collected much from it, but it's definitely one of these meadow plants that we have out here. Right next to it, we've got California buttercup, Ranunculus californicus. This one is great, and we've planted a lot of this stuff at the reserve. And then all these little stems, these pointy stems that look like grasses everywhere else, this is all Cicercium bellum, blue-eyed grass, which we also saw up at Scaroni recently. So this meadow is going to be filled with blue-eyed grass. And then something else that's pretty cool is right over here we've got a shooting star. So this is in the, I believe, the columbine family. Very strange flowers. They have these reflex petals that point backwards, and then the reproductive parts are facing forwards. All right, so now we're down at Lower Marshall Field. This is also known as Twin Gates. We've got Wilder Ranch right across the road. Gray Whale is also kind of what that's called, or that region. We're out in one of these meadows. Great site. Not a lot of these meadows that are around anymore. And we are up on kind of the Third Marine Terrace. Right here we've got a great patch. This is last year's flowers of Elymus glaucus, or blue wild rye. And there's quite a bit of it around here. So basically everything that you're seeing that's kind of this brownish red is all one of our native rye species. And then mixed in, we've got some other stuff. So there's like some carex back here, and then there's patches of juncus that you'll see right back there along the trail. So there's a good diversity going on, which makes up a happy ecosystem.
All right, so we're still here at Twin Gates, but now we're hugging the tree line versus in the meadow. And a native plant that we really like collecting and growing at the reserve is this one. It's Yerba Buena, or Clinopodium douglasii. It's in the mint family, and it is actually our native mint. So you may have seen this before. It's all over UCSC campus. It really likes growing in understories, so under oak trees, under redwoods. It just needs some shade. It doesn't really grow out in broad sunlight, but it smells amazing. You can make tea out of it, put it in your water bottle, anything like that. But it has stolon, so it'll shoot out stems along the soil and actually grow roots at different nodes to hold it into the ground at different places. So it's a really good sprawling plant.